welcome to the Our Two Cents podcast with your hosts Rosh and Nam. Here we talk about all things pop culture and we have something for everyone. Listen in to our latest episode and we hope you enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to our latest episode of the Our Two Cents podcast, which is episode number 85 after a gap of I don't know how long
many months?
With your two hosts, Nam
and Rosh.
And are you happy to be back?
Yes, very much so.
Finally happy to be back. It's been a long time. I'm out of breath.
Yeah, you would be if you opened your mouth like that. So
okay,
hard.
so we need to explain
God.
why it's been so long.
Why has it been so long? I don't even really know.
It's all because of me.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my fault.
It is your fault.
It is all my fault.
I'm very glad to not be taking the blame on this one.
That's true. So, when was it that we uploaded the episode?
The last episode was the Indiana Jones episode, which was probably in so that came out at the end of June, right? So that's probably early July.
Jeez, that's a long time ago.
And to be fair, we've been in the middle of a writer's strike and an actor's strike, a SAG-AFTRA strike.
Well, technically, we did record an episode, which
yes, to be fair,
something
we
happened
did.
when I was editing.
Yeah, and it lost all of our
again my fault
stuff. Don't know what happened there. So all of my hard work to collect all the information for you guys about both strikes is all gone. So I mean, we're not going to go through the whole thing again today, but we are going to do a little bit of an overview.
But I think we'll do we'll talk a little bit about it. Obviously,
yeah, we have. That's a big thing that has happened this year in the industry, and we need to address it. And yeah, I mean, things will slowly start going back to normal now. But anyway, that's the reason we've been away. And then
that's one of the reasons we've been away. The second reason is I've been very, very unwell. So I apologize if I get a little bit out of breath. I'm recovering from COVID, which was my second time with COVID. On the back of another so I had some surgery, which I'm not going to go into.
We're not going to get into that.
But I had surgery, so I was away for surgery for about 2-3 weeks, and then I went back to work for a week, and then I came back home with COVID.
Fun. Don't you love that, guys?
It's just been, and then the lead up to my surgery was all these health things that were happening and appointments and this and so it was just we didn't have time to record.
It was just a lot going on, and well, honestly, I had plenty of time because, as I said, the writer's strike was going on. So I had nothing to do, which was not good for my mental health. But anyway, that's a different story.
But you're over it now.
But I'm not over it.
Well, true, but still.
We never get over these things.
No.
We're writers, we don't get over these things. Sorry, just a little bit of self-deprecating humor over that. We're writers, that's what we do. But yeah, it was a bit of a time. But regardless, we've been trying to just get through it. We're all getting through life, aren't we?
Oh, tell me about it. Honestly, I'm so well. And then so my health thing happened, and then of course, as this is happening, my car breaks down as well.
Oh my God!
Literally on the way to a doctor's appointment.
That was a time.
So it's been car issues, it's been health issues. It's like my life is breaking down, your life was breaking down, my car was breaking down. Everything was happening all at once.
Wasn't fun. Yeah, it was not fun.
It was not a fun time.
But yeah.
So we're hoping that now that we're getting into Christmas season, things are looking up. Things are going to get better. The
jolly season is upon us.
The jolly season is upon us. So let's hope and pray that, the jolly season will bring some good vibes our way.
Yeah.
So we thought, today let's just we wanted to record last week, but I could barely talk.
Yeah, because of the COVID, you were like, coughing.
I lost my voice.
You lost your voice for a bit because you're a teacher. Let's just rehash. You are a teacher.
Yeah.
So you have to.
I'd come back.
Raise your voice a lot.
Well, I'd come back home after work and I'd just not be able to talk. I was like even now, like when I'm laughing, it's like this weird,
like wheezy.
Yeah, this wheezy laugh. Anyway,
oh my god, it's funny though.
Anyway, so there's a lot that's happened while we've been away, but we are not going to keep this episode too long because we can do a 3-hour long episode if we wanted to, but it is already bedtime.
It's not bedtime.
I know, but it's close to bedtime.
It's 9:22. Even we don't sleep that early. Come on.
All right. So basically, what are we talking about in this episode? Well, this is a question we grappled with just before we started recording.
I know, because we were like, what do we do for you guys today? Like, what do we talk about? And,
it is a bit of an unplanned episode. It is a bit of an
yeah, let's be honest. We wanted to come back because we need to get back into doing this.
And we're missing this.
We're missing this and we're missing. It was a very big chunk of our life for a long time, and we need to like prioritize it again,
and we need to get back in the swing of actually schedule recording and editing and all of that stuff. So this is basically an episode of us just getting back into the swing of things. So it's not gonna be like a set topic or any of that stuff, but it's gonna be like a little bit of everything, really.
So I guess we're kind of going through like a little bit of the strike and all that stuff that happened afterwards. I like we said, we lost all of that stuff, so we're not gonna go through all of the whole thing again, but just highlights and stuff like that. And then we are sort of gonna talk about the things that we've been watching and enjoying. In particularly, we've been on a bit of a kick of like all the old movies that we used to love, not like old, but like from like
the 90s, basically, when we were kids.
Before that, so it's like 80s, 90s that we used to love while growing up, and we've been kind of revisiting them like week to week, and it's been really fun.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that later on.
Yeah,
but I think so I'm gonna ask you these questions. This is gonna be our lead up into like the writer strike stuff. So a bit of a Q&A. If you please. No, it's not a Q&A, but it's basically just to kind of like guide the conversation essentially. But now that it's over, when did it actually end?
So the writer's strike ended, God, I can't remember dates now, but it was towards the end of, actually no, I remember it. It was the week before our TV show Gen V started. So Gen V started on September 29th, and it was the week before that. So whatever that Friday was, the week prior, is when it was called to an end. Yeah. And then they went through the whole, trying to get the negotiating committee to take this, take the, the New Deal as it is, the new minimum basic agreement as it is. And then I think the week after that, was the ratification of the New Deal. So like all the members of the WG had to vote yes or no whether they accepted it, and it was like 99%.
Wow.
Yes.
That is so amazing.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's basically, and look, those changes are not gonna, there were some changes that would start as of like October. Yeah. That they had, and then others that would start the next year. Okay. So, and there's about like, there's so many different agreements, so I can't even like, go through them all with you guys. Yeah. But about like maybe a few of them were supposed to start from October, and the rest is supposed to start from next year. So,
but the good thing is that, the what people strike for and the reason people strike for worked. There was so much skepticism about it, where people were like, oh, why are they striking? It's never going to work, blah, blah. I honestly never thought that was the case, because looking at strikes in history, they tend to work, and that's why people strike, because it is so extreme an action.
exactly. Like it's you could have like nothing is gonna work if you just do a half attempt at trying to get this deal for people. Like if you really want to make a statement and make a noise and make it to the point where it's like, if this doesn't happen now, then it's not going to happen for a very long time. So how do we make sure that it happens now? A strike. In fact, and
it could make things even worse if it hadn't have worked.
This now people don't understand this. This was not supposed to happen this year. This should have happened in 2020.
Yeah, but then the
pandemic happened. Yeah. And they had very like few agreements that they came to in like an interim type of situation, because they're like, we can't deal with all of this right now because COVID's happening. Yeah. So let's deal with these few things and then we'll get to it at another point. And another point should have been maybe 2021 or 2022, but it didn't happen, and they let it fester, and they let it keep going on, and that's not the WGA's fault. That's just how it happened.
That's just, it was
because we know that they would have tried, and we now know what those producers are like. We know what the AMPTP is like, so it's possible that they've tried to do this before and it just hasn't happened. And then that specific agreement was supposed to come to an end in 2023. And it was like, okay, if we don't come to another decision, then the strike is going to happen. And the strike was not something that just came up. It was something that was like rumored to be happening. Like everybody had a feeling it was going to happen.
True.
Like about like February, March, everyone's like, okay, I think May is going to be the strike.
I remember that's when you had mentioned that a bit.
Yeah. So everyone was kind of like, oh, wait, what? Like people who didn't know. And I was like, no, if you'd been looking at the way things are happening right now and the way, everyone is reacting to this new business model that we've suddenly found ourselves in. It was never a surprise.
Sustainable, yeah.
So,
Okay, so question. Now that the strike is over, they've met the conditions and, it's been a positive thing for both the writers and the actors. You being a, newbie writer, not even newbie, you're kind of like still trying to get your foot in. What does it look like for you? Like future wise?
I mean, it looks better than it looked last year, to be honest. But there's always a bit of fear and a bit of doubt. Like, and it's not just for new people who are coming in; it's for the people who already exist there as well. Like, it's never been a stable industry. We know this. So it is a bit like. Oh my god, what are we doing? But the reassurance is there because it's like all these writers weren't just like for themselves, they were for other people as well. And they kept saying like, we're not just doing this for us, we're doing this for the next people that come up after us. And honestly, like that could be just talk from like some of the majors, but I know from people who I know in the industry, there is truth behind it as well. Yeah. And it's not just for show, it's not just for talk. So in that way, it does feel reassuring.
That's good.
And there has been a lot of talk of, because now the fall season is kind of changed. Yeah. Because everything had stopped production. So now that all the agreements have happened, I think maybe stuff is starting to go back into production now. Yeah. But there is going to be a dearth of people wanting new content because there hasn't been any new content. Everything that's going back into production now is everything that was in the second or third season. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes from that and what new projects are going to come through. And so I'm not worried about it.
That's good. As long as you're not worried about it.
I was worried about it back in 2020 when I was like, what we're all gonna die. So,
oh God, stop it.
Stop it. But yeah, so well, I'm not worried about it.
That's good. I think that's a really nice way to end the year. I think in terms of at least not going into a strike into the new year. I think that would have been really bad.
Yeah, and look, there's some doubt with the SAG-AFTRA strike. Now, I don't know much about it. I know that they called at the end of their strike at about I think it was end of October. I think. I can't remember. And since then, they've been the negotiating committee, took the deal in and they put it out to the rest of the SAG-AFTRA members. And I know from some SAG-AFTRA members have kind of struggled with this deal a little bit because apparently not everything is hunky-dory.
Unlike apparently, the writers.
Yes. The writers, look, they got a less than what they were asking for.
It's not exactly what they were asking for. Yeah.
But there were enough contingencies and everything and enough to say percentages would increase over time and all this stuff. The SAG-AFTRA deal has apparently not been as clear cut. So there is a bit of worry with the...
But do you think that's more from the SAG-AFTRA side by not being so clear or the AMPTP side?
I think it might be the SAG-AFTRA side. I don't necessarily think... Not on purpose, but I don't know that they...
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally, they've kind of left a few things ambiguous.
Yeah.
And people are not quite understanding what's going on.
That's
but
not good.
I think... There has been, in the last couple of days, at least, there's been a bit more clarification on a few things.
To what? Can you give an example?
Apparently, the AI segment of the deal has not... I can't really remember.
Yeah.
Because this has been going on for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So apparently, something about the AI, the wording... The literature of that particular thing is not clear, and everybody's not really understanding what's going on with AI. So they really want clarification on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope that'll come soon, because I think the voting is supposed to be over soon for the ratification of that deal. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening with that, but hopefully it'll be okay, and we won't find ourselves in another SAG-AFTRA strike.
That's true.
But yeah.
Well, it's been a very interesting year in terms of all of that. So as a result, we were just talking about how we obviously couldn't talk a lot about some of the stuff we were watching. But I think we'll do a quick rundown. And by rundown, I mean, we're not going to talk about it in detail, but just to let you know, these will be part of future episodes.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we've been watching, we finished watching, is Gen V. So just from that little scream, you can tell how good it was.
Oh my God. Gen V. Now, people, if you are not watching The Boys already, I urge you to be watching this show, because I am not saying this just because Eric Kripke is, the master genius behind Supernatural and, Revolution and Timeless and now The Boys. I'm not just saying that because he's a genius. I'm saying that because... And in quote unquote, I know him.
Sure.
But I'm saying,
I wish you knew him.
But I'm saying it genuinely. This is one of the best shows on any streaming service
right
now.
It is so good.
And Gen V is a very, very close second.
Yes.
In fact, it might just be tied. It's brilliant.
It's excellent.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And them existing in the same universe is of course fantastic. So
generally, spin-offs scare me a little bit, and they don't do very well. But
I was not
excellent.
expecting to love this as much as I did.
Yeah,
I thought I'd like it because I was like, it's the Boys universe. It's going to be interesting. But oh my God, I loved this show so much, and I'm so excited to see how it all ties in.
Yeah,
we got a teaser trailer for The Boys the other day.
Yes,
for The Boys season 4. That looks fantastic.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Unlike previous trailers, previous trailers of seasons have really laid heavily into the gore and the hilarity.
Yeah,
of
this
things.
one wasn't
this
as
one was
gory.
Very crap's about to go down.
Oh yes,
and we are going to be present for it whenever the next season is coming. And the fact that this is this is kind of gonna be like a season like themed around an election.
Yeah.
And we're going into an election year. Oof. That's crazy.
Jeez. This is gonna be
very
meta.
The way this show has like been dealing with this societal stuff is just fantastic, and I'm so excited. So yeah, be watching this show, guys.
Just watch The Boys. It's very good. Even
watch
if
Gen V.
Even if you don't end up watching Gen V, watch The Boys. It's very good. But anyway, so that's one that we've been watching. What else have we been watching?
We've been catching up on The White Lotus.
Yes, so we finished season one. Which again, we'll talk about. But I think we'll finish season 2 as well, and we'll talk about it as a whole. So we'll do one full episode on White Lotus. And
so The White Lotus, great.
Very good.
Far. Everyone's saying season 2 is much better, so I'm looking forward to that because it's in Italy.
I'm just thinking, how much better can it be? Like the first season was insane.
That was nuts.
It was so good.
I loved it. Oh my god. So we watched White Lotus. We watched Loki.
Yes, we're gonna do a full episode of Marvel and Loki
on that
specifically.
Loki specifically, but also talking about everything that's going on with Marvel right now.
We will have a quick chat about Marvel in this episode.
Actually, a
little bit later on.
Yeah,
but we want to keep Loki as a specific episode because, and you'll find out when we do the episode, is because it's such a special show. So we'll talk about that later.
It's just so good.
What else have you been watching? Show wise.
What else are we watching?
Much else other than this. You started watching Discovery of Witches.
Yes, but that's old. So
yeah, that's old. It's not new.
But we are going to try and catch up with all the stuff because of the strike. The Emmys have been delayed to January, so I'm trying to catch up on watching things. So after White Lotus, we'll probably do Succession, and then
we want to do Succession.
I want to do Barry as well. So
Barry.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be interested in Barry, but
I think I would be.
I know I definitely, because I love Bill Hader, so I need to be watching that. So
okay, so we have been watching, and this is where we were kind of racking our brains, going, "What should we talk about today?" So we have been watching some 90s, mostly 90s, nostalgia films, and because we were just sitting one day and we were like, you know what? We used to watch these movies as kids because, we had adults around, or we had, older cousins and whatnot. And we'd watch them very uncritically, like not understanding anything that was going on.
We were so clueless about those kinds of things.
Totally clueless. Obviously, like you're watching a political drama as a 12-year-old, not knowing anything about American politics.
Exactly.
So clearly you're not going to understand what's going on. Yeah. But you watch it because there's action and, there's pretty people on the screen, and that's about it, really. So we decided to start watching. So one of our, we kickstarted it with A Few Good Men.
Yes.
Which, again, is not a film that is new to us in any way, shape, or form.
No, and we've watched it countless times.
Yeah, and one of my ex-roommate used to say, every time I watch this movie, it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think I've reached the point where I'm like, I understand this movie completely.
Yeah, same.
100%.
And it is because of that reason that we understand it better, because we didn't understand when we were younger.
I think the first time I ever watched that movie, I was probably like 16.
I think I was about the same.
Yeah, I was about 16. And I remember sitting and watching it with mum. I remember watching it with mum and dad. It was coming on TV. I had no idea what was going on. The only thing I liked about it was that it had Tom Cruise in it. He looked adorable. Mm-hmm. And Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise had the face off with the very famous line, "You can't handle the truth." And that just, I was like, oh my gosh,
that's all I knew of the movie. That's all I knew.
That's all I knew.
I was like, okay, yeah, that's iconic. And I didn't understand why at the time, obviously. And then when you understand the movie more and you get more into the plot and everything, you're like, oh, okay. And then it, of course, it's just one of the best scenes ever in film history. So like, yeah, it's just fantastic. So yeah, that kind of kickstarted everything.
So I think it's going to be hard. We can't talk about every single film that we've watched, but I think we'll list out what we've watched, and then we'll talk about some of a couple.
Yeah. So that was one.
Well, then the second one, well, not second one, but the other one that we watched was, well, then we went into a bit of a Harrison Ford kick.
Yes. So what actually started that was, again, just to go back to the shows that we've been watching, we've finally watched the final season of Jack Ryan.
Yes.
Prime Video's Jack Ryan.
Oh, yes, that's the other show that we need to talk about. Yes.
Which was fantastic.
Very good.
Very, very good.
And by the way, a little bit of news, you might get a bit of a spin-off of one of the characters from Jack Ryan, Michael Peña's character. I'm so happy to see him in a role like this. He's one of my favorites since he was on Felicity.
He's great.
I'm OG.
You are OG. I don't know what the first thing I ever saw him in was, but he's great. I love him. He's a great actor.
He is such a good actor.
So we watched Jack Ryan, and then we were like, oh man, we should watch the old Jack Ryan movies with Harrison Ford. So then we watched Patriot Games, and
that was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it was. The better one, of course. And we watched Clear and Present Danger.
Yes.
Which is also good, but it's a bit long. It's a bit like the pacing is a bit off.
The thing is, okay, so this is the thing. Whenever you say Patriot Games, I can picture the plot immediately in my head. But when you say Clear and Present Danger, I'm like, what was it about?
What was it about?
And I'm like, oh yeah, it was about that.
Yeah. What happened? Patriot Games.
So okay, so a bit of a heads up. Patriot Games was amazing.
Yeah.
The plot for Clear and Present Danger is very similar to, or rather, has ties to the plot in the last season of Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
So I would say it like that.
Yes.
It's not exactly the same.
Yes.
But you will recognize certain things like, thematically.
Oh, that bit. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's a bit, you do realize there are some callbacks in that way. So
there's a character. So like Michael Peña's character is Chavez. He's he's one of the characters in Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah. Different actor. Obviously.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. And Willem Dafoe is in Clear and Present Danger.
I thought he was going to be the villain.
Bad guy.
I know. I thought he was going to be the villain. And I was like, oh, he's not the villain.
I was like, wasn't he the bad guy? And then I was like, oh my God, I'm remembering this wrong.
Clearly not.
Just because, I mean, we all know Willem Dafoe plays a great bad guy.
He's a great bad guy. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, on TikTok, they put these random like clips and like you can literally watch a whole movie in clips, right? There's accounts.
That's annoying though.
Yeah, but you get sucked in.
That's really annoying.
So there is a movie of his that I really want to watch. I think it's called Dogo.
The one with the dog?
The one with the dog.
Right.
I really want to watch that because I'm like, it's got a dog. Yeah. Obviously. And it's Willem Dafoe.
But I feel like it's going to be really sad.
I don't think it is sad.
It just got a sad tone to it.
I mean, yeah, but it's not that sad.
I hope not.
Togo was an old dog when he died.
I don't see that you told me.
Yeah, obviously he's going to die.
Well, I don't know what it was about.
If he doesn't die in the movie,
then how does he die? What?
He dies an old dog.
Oh, right, okay.
Like of natural causes.
Oh, at the end?
I don't even think they show. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I don't know.
I need to watch it. That's what I'm saying. I want to watch it. A little bit of crying is fine.
No, I don't want to cry.
Life makes us cry.
I cry anyway. I cry myself to sleep at night. Anyway, that got dark. But so we did Patriot Games and Clear and Present.
And then we watched The Die Hard of the Skies. Air Force One.
Get off my plane.
With the best president of all time.
Now, if Harrison Ford was actually president, things would be going a lot differently.
Oh my goodness. Well, there is a precedence to it. I mean, Reagan was president. He was an actor at some point.
Course. Yeah, I know.
So, anyway, it can happen.
But anyway. Harrison's too old now. True. He likes to think he's not old.
Evans could be president.
I don't know.
I think he's too shy to be president, to be honest. He'd be like in the background.
He'd be a really good like advisor type, I feel like.
Yeah,
but not. I like how we're just casting these people. We're casting these people.
Oh my God, you know who would be really good president if we were to like think of an actor? Misha Collins.
Well, he has worked in the White House.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying he was
an intern in the Clinton administration.
So
he knows.
Did he know Monica Lewinsky?
She was there. He was there before her.
Oh, okay.
So he had left.
He never
then.
met her. Yeah. So anyway, we're casting the White House.
Yeah, we're casting the White House. What were we talking about? I have no idea. So and then we got to Air Force One. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Air Force One bloody fantastic.
Oh my God.
What a
so
great
good.
movie.
Anyway, then after that, we kind of took a bit of a break from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then we watched a film that I had never watched, but with an actor that is synonymous with the 90s. Keanu Reeves. He is my favorite.
Yes.
Because one of my favorite movies is Speed. And we have not watched that yet in our little 90s
little
marathon. So we need to watch that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we watched John Wick.
Yeah,
the first
you
one.
watched John Wick.
We watched John Wick.
Because I've seen it. So
yeah, so you have seen it. I had never seen it. And I'm just like, why had I never seen this movie?
I haven't seen the fourth one yet because it came out this year.
Yeah, so it is right up my alley.
Yeah.
It's got Keanu Reeves. It's got action.
Yeah.
It's not too overly gory. Yeah. So I have no idea why I never watched it. I really don't know why I never watched it.
I don't really know either.
I have no clue. Anyway, well, we're jumping a little bit because there was another movie that we watched, which is something that we'd been wanting to watch for a very long time, and we kept looking for it and they didn't have it. Reality Bites.
Oh, Reality Bites, yes.
I actually happened to have the DVD for it.
Oh my God. It has been such a long time since I've seen that movie. Now, can I just say that Winona Ryder, it like belongs to the millennials.
Oh my gosh,
she just does. Okay, so all you Gen Zs who are trying to claim her because of Stranger Things, sorry guys, she's ours. She was ours first.
Ours.
Yeah.
She was in Mermaids.
Exactly. She was in Beetlejuice.
She was in Edward Scissorhands.
Exactly.
Oh my God, we need to do a whole Winona Ryder episode.
Oh my God,
seriously, she is amazing.
She's so good. She's amazing.
I feel like
in that one episode of Friends too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And she was in The Simpsons. She was the voice of Allison Taylor.
Yes.
People don't realize that, but she was.
Oh my gosh, right. She's brilliant. I love Winona Ryder. Wasn't she in Black Swan as well?
Yes, she was. That was kind of like her comeback sort of. Yeah.
Anyway, so we watched that. Then when was it? Just a couple of days ago, we watched our absolutely all-time favorite film of the 90s, and I think just down like whatever, like all-time favorite, My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh God, that is a comfort movie.
That is such a comfort movie.
In so many, just like as soon as it's on, I feel just
like home.
I feel exactly. It's like home. It's such a weird thing to say about a movie. But it's true.
Never been to Chicago in our lives.
Never been to Chicago.
Never been to mainland US.
Never been to mainland US, only Hawaii. But
oh my goodness.
Oh, that was another one we watched. The Harrison Ford movie with Anne Hesh.
Oh yeah.
What is it called? Something 6 nights.
6 nights, 7 days, or 7 days, 6
something
nights,
like that.
Something
whatever
like
it's called.
He's a pilot. It's a romantic. It was not bad.
They get marooned on an island.
It was a bit silly, but it was kind of cute.
Stupid, but it was kind of cute. We got to see Harrison Ford, so that's the best we could ask for. But but yeah, we watched My Best Friend's Wedding, which again, like we said, is like home. Never been to Chicago. Didn't even like. We were like, is the Drake Hotel real? Is it? I think it is. Isn't it?
If anyone's listening,
if anybody's listening, tell
us,
please tell us if the Drake Hotel is a real hotel in Chicago.
I'll put it in the question in Spotify. Is the Drake Hotel real?
Because apparently we can't be bothered to research that. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just the best. It has the best kind of vibes, the best aesthetic of a 90s rom-com.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's just, there's just a specific look to it, and it's just
that
so good.
movie is my favorite version of Julia Roberts and my favorite version of Cameron Diaz.
Yes. And our favorite version of Dermot Mulroney.
Oh my goodness, yes. Especially coming off the back of Scream.
Exactly.
6, which is something we need to talk about. We haven't talked about that either.
About Scream 6. We should talk about the whole Scream situation, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, so then after that, what else? But we haven't really watched. Okay, so the 2 films that we have watched in the cinemas during our absence.
Yes.
Scream 6. No.
We didn't watch that in the cinema. That came out the start of the year.
Oh yeah, sorry, we didn't watch
the Ballad
that.
of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes, we watched Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which we're gonna do a full Hunger Games episode.
And we did Oppenheimer and Barbie. That's really all we've done.
So we're gonna do a separate Hunger Games episode because I think the Hunger Games series deserves it because in the lead up to
but in the
film,
meantime, if you guys want to listen to a Hunger Games episode, my friend and I, on another podcast, on our own separate podcast.
The podcast name
is Cup of Film Podcast.
We'll link it in the description.
We will link it in the description. My friend and I did a full Hunger Games retrospective before Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out.
Nice.
And yes, if you want to listen to us fangirling over Finnick O'Day, you can do so over there.
Well, we'll be doing our own version of it.
And we're doing our own
separately.
Yeah.
And, well, that's going to happen. Then the other thing that we have to talk about is we need to talk about Barbenheimer because we haven't done that
we've got to do a Barbenheimer episode.
So we are in a bit of a backlog.
Yes.
So it will happen.
Yeah.
But I think that's okay. I don't mind that because I think this will force us into doing what we had originally started to do, which is to talk about movies, not reviewing films.
Yeah.
Which we had sort of fallen into the trap of. We were reviewing things that were coming out.
Yeah.
And that is not something we had set out to do. So that's
kind of what I'm doing on the other
thing.
Like we do our retrospectives as well. About directors and about actors and stuff, but we do a bit of a review sort of situation as well, which we will leave over there. And
so we are sort of trying to move away from the reviews. Obviously, you'll know what our opinion is on things, but I think review-wise, I don't want to just be purely a review. We don't want to be a purely review.
Maybe every once in a while,
podcast.
But yeah. But anyway.
So that's the stuff that we've been watching, and that's the stuff that we wanted to talk about. Well, okay, question. You were born in the 90s.
Yes.
I was born in the 80s.
Yes.
Right, so mid-80s. And so I remember a lot of it, right? Because I would have imagined that your sort of like 90s, like for me, what the 90s is, yours would be like the 2000s.
Yeah. And it sort of is.
Yeah.
Because I do love those early, like,
I love those as well.
Films.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. Stuff like The Devil Wears Prada and all that stuff is like, you know, that's a bit earlier and everything.
Yeah.
And Mean Girls, hello. Legally Blonde, hello.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, these are all just like early 2000s, almost to 2010 sort of deal. And those are all like movies like are just like so close to my heart, especially The Devil Wears Prada, which we should do a whole episode on The Devil Wears Prada because we haven't done that ever.
We've never talked about Devil Wears Prada.
And it is one of our absolute, like, that movie I can watch again. Another movie I can watch absolutely anytime.
Yep.
My God, it's so good. Like, we can do a full analysis on The Devil Wears Prada. We should do it like how we did our mummy.
Oh my
episode,
gosh,
to be honest, because it's just so good.
It is so good.
Oh my God, it's amazing. So yeah, like that is my jam, that time of films. But I also really do love the 90s films because I've watched them like as I've been getting older and stuff, and like they make more sense to me now. And yeah.
For me, like, the 90s is, like, synonymous with, like... So, okay, so this is the thing that I always find funny because... so, one of the subjects I teach is media. And... surprise, surprise. And one of the big things we talk about is representation.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this idea of, you know, everyone says representation is so important.
Yeah.
Because that is how we, you know, it shows ourselves and, you know, we identify with stuff and blah, blah. And I put it as a bit of a devil's advocate sort of thing. And I was like, is it though? Is it really that important?
Yeah.
Do you not identify or do you not love something even if you can't see yourself in it? And I gave an example of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is like one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah.
Angel and Buffy. And, you know, I was a Indian girl in India in high school, watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not a single white person around me. Our lifestyle is completely different. Our culture is completely different. Yet we identified, and it wasn't just me. It was like my friends and you know all of that. And like even when I watch movies and stuff, and maybe it's a very shallow way of looking at things. I just think like representation is super important, and it's so like. Every time we see someone who looks like us, who's represented on screen, is like, oh my gosh, such a big win. But at the same time, I feel like a bit of a traitor when I'm like, oh my God, I love these Nancy Meyer movies with the coastal grandma theme.
Coastal grandma theme.
I don't know a real coastal grandma growing up, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes you just, even if you don't see yourself, there's always something that happens in like a film or something. Like, oh my God, that's me. I feel so like even like in like, not to get, I mean, I'm not gonna even say spoilers, because if you haven't watched Barbie now, like by now,
oh my gosh, I know, right?
What's wrong with you? But like the whole bit with like the Pride and Prejudice of it all,
my God,
I was like,
that's
I feel so called out right now.
That is so us.
Oh my God, that was so us. I was like, they're talking about us. Like, they literally are talking about us. Because we watch the Pride and Prejudice BBC like nobody's business.
It's like when you're feeling happy, watch it. When you're feeling depressed, watch it. When you're feeling tired, watch it. When you're busy doing stuff around the house, watch it.
And you need something in the background, watch it.
Oh my God.
Well, we don't
when it's rainy and you don't want to do anything, just put that on.
It's so perfect when it's raining, because you just want to be like transported to another
Excellent.
time. Yeah. So it's that, but that's a different kind of representation.
I think
that
so.
Is also
yeah.
Representation.
Because you don't see it, but you hear it.
Yeah. And like even in Supernatural, like it's about two dudes like going like in back roads Americana.
Yeah.
Fighting monsters. Like, that's what it's about.
It's like the most outlandish thing ever.
Like, it's just, it's not real. But as we've learned over the years from watching it, like, the stuff that they've gone through, yes, it's through insurmountable odds, but if you boil the emotions down to a finite point, they are just two guys that are trying to get through life.
Yeah.
And aren't we all trying to get through life?
Exactly.
So, like, there is so much to relate. And, you know, people have seen themselves in Castiel, seen themselves in Crowley. There are people who have transitioned because of Crowley.
Yeah.
Like, in the full... They feel comfortable as Crowley. Like, cosplaying as him. And that's how they've transitioned. I think that's brilliant.
That's amazing,
So, it's like... And Cass, of course. So... I think that's amazing. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. So that in itself is representation.
Yeah. So I think it's important to note that we're not saying representation is not a good thing.
Not in that way.
It's a very good thing. But I think we need to step aside and go, yes, there are different ways of representation. Like, and sometimes you don't have to not love something even if you don't see yourself in it. Yeah. You know, like you loved Devil Wears Prada. How old were you when you watched it first?
I watched...
You would have been like 12,
what is
13?
The year that it came out? 2008?
So you would have been like...
I would have been...
14, 15?
Was it 2008? 2006?
I don't know, whenever.
You
were a teenager.
I was a teenager.
Or a tween.
I could... Yeah, a tween or a teen, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I could not have been further away in age from...
Age, race,
social economic status, like
location
could not have been further away. Like, literally, we you guys know we're from Australia. We live in the arse of the world, as we like to say. Could not have been like geographically.
We're migrants.
We're migrants. Everything, right? But oh my God, do I love that movie? Like, every time I watch it, I'm just like. Like, it's such a... Like,
it's home.
It's again, it's home. Now, will you guys tell us if Elias Clark Publications is real? No, I'm joking. I think... But yeah, like, it could not have been further away. But I love that film. And honestly, that is the reason I think I love fashion so much. Like, and I love talking about fashion. I'm not the most fashionable person ever.
But you love talking about it.
But I love talking about fashion.
So, okay. So one of the things that we need to that we were talking about was, you know, just this is a good segue into, I guess, the next thing that we should talk about is we want to look at a little bit of the state of Marvel, because we do want to talk about. We're going to do a separate episode on Loki. Yeah. But I don't want to mar that with the rest of Marvel.
What we've been feeling about Marvel, yeah.
Because I think that is separate to what... And obviously we will have to talk a bit about that when we talk about Loki.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly, but I don't want to, like, ruin that
episode.
Not the
whole thing, yeah.
Okay, so with Marvel, as a lot of people know, so we have not even watched Marvels yet.
No.
Right? So,
and I don't think we're going to get to it. Well, like, I'm pretty sure it's going to go out of the cinemas soon. So
someone at work today was like, "Oh, have you watched the Marvels yet?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I haven't." Well, someone asked me at work. They're like, "Oh, have you seen the Marvels yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." They're like, "Really? You haven't seen the Marvels yet?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, number one, I haven't had time."
Yeah.
And really, to be very honest, there has been nothing enticing about it. And this is where that whole representation thing comes up again.
Yeah.
We've got Iman Vellani in it, and I loved her as Miss Marvel.
We loved Miss Marvel. We thought it was a great show.
I am not psyched about seeing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and I feel really bad saying that. I really feel guilty saying that.
I feel guilty too. But the thing is, I think we need to come to that realization that we shouldn't be feeling guilty.
We shouldn't,
because it is just the state of that whole universe right now.
It's bad.
Is not good. It's just not good, to put it plainly. It hasn't been good for a while now, and I think we've all just sort of been like going through the motions, like, oh, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get better.
I don't think it's even going through the motions. Like, a lot of people, I remember when this is what stage? This is stage 4, isn't it?
This is like phase 5.
No. As in like after Endgame.
I think we're in phase 5 now, because phase 4 ended with Black Panther 2.
Yeah. So I'm talking about before that even, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about like immediately after Endgame, when people were like, oh, it's chaos, and Wanda came out, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, and like, all these other shows came out, and this is before Black Panther 2, and it was like, it was chaotic. Let's be honest, it was chaotic.
It was kind of like, where are we going?
But people were still like, well, when Marvel sort of first started, nothing was like matching or whatever it is. So let's just wait and watch. Yeah. And see what happens.
Yeah. But that was a year and a half ago.
But that was a long time ago. Yeah. And I think we've waited and watched for a very long time, and we've come to the conclusion that it's not good. Yeah. This is dire, I feel. Yep. Like, to the point where I used to have this level, I feel betrayed.
This is a betrayal.
I really do, because you on this podcast, who has been listening for a long time, whoever it is, are 10 followers.
5 at this point.
No, I think there's 10
still. Wow, thank you.
I think we've retained 10. Thank you. So if you have been listening to us right from the start, I always say, or was used to say, in Marvel I trust. Yeah. Right? And I did.
Yeah. For a long time.
However, that trust is no longer there.
Yeah, it's been severed.
It is non-existent. Yeah. And it has been non-existent for a while.
Yep. When do you think it was? I'm trying to pinpoint it, and I'm
trying to pinpoint as well when that sort of change came in.
I kind of got annoyed after Doctor Strange.
Look,
Doctor Strange 2.
I enjoyed Doctor Strange. Like, there were bits of it that I liked.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like the whole thing.
Yeah, the bits.
But there were parts of it that I did enjoy.
It was like, it was a multiverse, and we barely saw any multiverse.
True.
Like, what?
One of my biggest things is, like, a lot of people have been criticizing Marvel right from Endgame, right? We haven't been those people. No. We have genuinely enjoyed WandaVision. We have genuinely enjoyed Falcon and the Winter. It's still one of my favorite TV shows.
No matter what we say about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we've been saying that it should have been a movie instead. Yeah, but I still love the show. I really do enjoy it. Yeah. And that show got a lot more hate than it should have gotten.
Than it deserved. Absolutely.
It did not deserve that much hate.
Yeah. What was the other one? Hawkeye. Loved Hawkeye.
Hawkeye was great. I like it as a one-off. I will watch it again at Christmas.
Absolutely. I loved Moon Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight was great.
Absolutely loved Moon Knight.
And if that stays as it is, I'll be very happy.
I hope they never ever bring it into the fold. I loved Moon Knight. So it's not that I have hated some of the stuff that they've been putting out there. What my problem is that, so when She-Hulk, I think She-Hulk was the breaking point for me.
Yeah, I think that was the official breaking point. Like, I was just like, no. Yeah.
I think She-Hulk was the bit, because even when it first came out, like the first couple of episodes, I was like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
gonna give it a go. But I think, but how many episodes was it? Like 6?
6, yeah, I think.
I think by the time we got to like episode 5, and I was like, nothing has happened. And the most exciting episode that it had.
Oh no, it was 9 because episode 8 was when Matt came in.
Exactly, I was gonna say
and that was the best episode because it was Matt Murdock.
So you can't even have an episode with your title character that is more interesting than a guest.
Yeah,
coming in. That's not a good show.
That's not a good show.
That is not a good show.
If you are relying, and it was so obvious they were relying on this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they weren't, they would have had it as like episode 2.
Probably, yeah.
If this was episode 8, this was like the second last episode.
And it was a good episode.
And it was a great episode. I was like, this is fantastic. Where was this energy the whole time?
Exactly.
And then episode 9 was half like... It was like that half thing where like she goes into the writer's room, then she goes into that like...
It was like, such a weird
this
meta.
Makes no sense.
I don't know what it was.
I was like, this has nothing to do with anything at all. Like I'm a fan of meta. I don't mind meta every now and then, but you got to do meta right. You know, this was not a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was not done well. So I think if you were to pinpoint it for me, and I think for you as well, She-Hulk was it.
She-Hulk.
And I think that was better than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are giving up. I think the biggest mistake that Marvel has made, the biggest mistake, is that once Endgame finished, they should have let these characters rest for a while.
Yeah.
And they should have focused on the X-Men.
Well, when the Disney-Fox merger happened, that's what everybody thought was going to happen.
And that is what they should have done. They should have gone after the X-Men.
Because that's
happened what they should have focused
2018, 2019. That merger happened around that time. And everybody was like, oh, great, we're going to get the X-Men. We're going to get Fantastic Four. Yeah.
And look, the thing is, we're not going to forget about these characters. No one's going to forget about these characters. And if you want to do... They should have done Falcon and the Winter Soldier as a film. That should have happened a few years after Endgame. You know, or at least a year after Endgame.
Yeah.
Not immediately.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's just disappointing to see. And I remember watching that there was some YouTuber who made a video, and he talked about how Kevin Feige is the one that needs to be blamed for it.
Yeah.
And speaking as a writer, one of the interesting things came out, which was that when they were doing the TV stuff,
oh my God,
they didn't even know what a showrunner was.
They didn't know what a showrunner was. They were like, oh, what's this title? And they basically have an executive producer who heads the show, quote unquote, but they are technically a director who is then also in charge of like plotting the show and putting the show out there. That's not a showrunner. A showrunner is someone who is in the writer's room.
Yeah.
Who oversees everything that the writers are talking about.
Yeah.
They are the one who is like facilitating who's going to write what episode or whatever. Or bringing in, or like opening up the floor and being like, who has an idea for episode so-and-so, whatever.
Yeah.
And a writer will put there like, oh, I have an idea about this.
Yeah.
Plot, blah, blah, you know, whatever. So, okay, fine, there's only 6 episodes or 9 episodes, whatever. But it's all... There's... The showrunner keeps the consistency, keeps the coherence going.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're gonna have a mess.
Which it was.
You changed the business model.
Yeah.
And now you're suffering for it.
They should have never, ever done TV.
There is a reason that the business model, the way it was, TV, whether it was 22 episodes or, 16 episodes, whatever the episode order was, there was a reason that worked.
Yeah.
And and since streaming has come in, and I'm not saying specifically Disney.
No, it's everyone.
Since streaming has come in and we've gone from 22 to 16 to 10 to now 6.
What is that?
What is 6?
You might as well make a movie.
8, you're lucky if you get 8. Like 8's pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. If someone came up to me and be like, oh, I've got an 8 episode show, I'm like, well, good for you. Most people don't have that.
So, all right, I'll speak to that in a bit. So, I love British shows.
Yeah.
British shows each season will not have more than 4 episodes.
But the episodes are
Having
longer.
said that, exactly, their episodes, one episode is nearly an hour and a half or 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? So having 4 episodes is like having 8 episodes.
Yeah.
You know? And they're very self-contained stories.
Yeah.
So you don't need more than, you don't need 20. I don't think they could sustain 22. And that's their model. That has always been
that's how they've always done it. And I don't know if they've looked to that and be like, oh, we can do the same thing. No, you can't, because your episodes are not long enough.
Exactly. You're still giving us 40-minute episodes.
Now, there are some shows that have 8 episodes and are doing it like the old business model, which is kind of fantastic. They're not ending it at like a really weird point so that it picks up at the next point. They are ending it how an episode of a show would have ended back in the day. So like it'll end with a cliffhanger maybe, but it'll end at a really crucial point so that if it picks up the next episode, you're like, okay, we're back in the game. This is what happened. Da, 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 da. It's not going like picking up like 5 months into the future or whatever. Yeah. Like we don't even know what the timeline of half of these Marvel shows is sometimes. Like we just don't know.
No idea.
The thing that annoys me the most, it's always like, oh, we're making a 6-hour movie. No, you're not. They're like, oh, it's like we're watching a movie. We're making 6 episodes.
No, we're not making a movie. You're making a TV show.
Movie. No, you're making a TV show.
You're calling it a TV show.
If it's for TV, if it's for quote unquote TV because it's on streaming, whatever, you are making episodic television.
Yeah.
But like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons that The Boys is so popular is because they have episodic television.
Exactly. You've got the thing is, you've got to understand
with a full arc.
Exactly. A full arc in one episode.
Yeah.
Yes, there is an overarching story that you have to tell. But in each episode, there is one thing that's happening.
One or like several things happening. Yeah. But it's like
but there's a conclusion.
Exactly.
Yes, that conclusion can lead to your next episode.
Exactly. It's an A story, a B story, maybe sometimes a C story if we need to fill in time. And then you move on to the next one.
And then it ends with the conclusion of what's happened in that episode.
Yep.
But the conclusion leads to the next episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave you halfway through with a door opening and then you're like, oh, and then you come to the next episode, it's like 3 days later. Yeah. So what happened in the meantime? You know? Like, it's so strange. So my biggest gripe with Marvel is, and then of course, we hear the fiasco that is Daredevil, which with the whole filming of, how many episodes did they film? 4.
So, Daredevil Reborn or Devil Born Again, whatever we're calling it. We don't even know the proper name still. Because some articles call it Reborn and some call it Born Again. So I don't even know at this point what they're calling it. But anyway,
we will find out.
New Daredevil reboot, if you wanna go there. They had basically hired the writers of a stupid Christmas movie that no one watched back in the day, Deck the Halls. Like, who watched that? Nobody.
Oh my god.
And they did that, and they did one show called COVID Affairs, which again was like a procedural something or other. And so that was cause for concern in the first place. But I was like, all right, fine, let's see what happens. And now so Daredevil stopped production because of the strike and everything. And then we come to find out that there was an article a few months ago that they have fired the whole creative team, not the actors, not Charlie Cox,
just the writers,
just the writers and directors and such.
Oh, directors as well.
Yeah, because they were writing and directing apparently.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because they had filmed the 4 episodes before the strike happened, like before the shutdown happened, and Kevin Feige saw those 4 episodes and was like, obviously thought it was not up to speed. Yeah. It was not good. And he got rid of them. Yeah. Basically. Promptly got rid of them. And then for a while it was in limbo, like what's going to happen, and they have since gained the writer from The Punisher.
Yeah.
And a few of the Loki directors are going to go over and direct it.
Well, the way Loki ended, I have some hope there, so that's good.
there because it ended quite well. But the information that we got was basically that the 4 episodes was not even, there was nothing like, became very like procedural law kind of show. There was no crime. There was no nothing. And the thing that people keep like harking on about, which honestly does not faze me, was like, oh, Matt, and apparently it was a problem for Kevin, but whatever. That Matt wasn't even in the devil costume by episode 4. He wasn't in it. And I'm just thinking that shouldn't be a big deal, because in season 1 of Daredevil,
he didn't even have a costume.
He didn't have the costume until the very last episode, until episode 13.
He was just wearing the black.
He was wearing the black thing. So like,
the costume doesn't make him.
The costume does not make him. The costume, it's the power, it's the abilities that he has that makes him, and what he can do with those abilities. So I don't know why that's cause for concern for Kevin, but whatever.
I have a theory.
But it's also like, I have to, like, I don't know how it's going to go now, because there was also rumors that in the first episode that Karen and Foggy got killed off, and when everybody found out about that, that was like, this is bullshit. Like,
how can you kill them off?
This is shit. This is like, how could you do that? This is Foggy and Karen. They are the heart of the show.
They're the heart of the show.
They are what keeps Matt's moral compass in the right direction.
Exactly.
Like, how can
without
this
them,
happen?
he's unhinged.
He is unhinged, and we've seen it. We've seen it happen in season 3. What can happen when they're not around? You know, so like. No, just no. This is absolute rubbish. So everybody's like, you better have Foggy and Karen back, because there is no point to this show without them. Because as we know, this is a reboot. This is not a season 4 of the original Daredevil. No. Which honestly it should have been, but
and that's again the direction. But that's again like they think. So I hate bringing in other people's thing, because I can't remember who they are, and it's hard to credit them. But this is like just theories that I've been hearing on TikTok and like YouTube and stuff. Kevin Feige, because he has taken on the reins of overseeing everything, and then there was that recent firing of Victoria Alonso as well, and like all of that stuff.
Yes,
it's as if it's like any business. If you cannot delegate well enough, if you can't hire people who are good at their job, to the point where you can go, I trust you with what you're doing, and you will do a good job. I'm just going to oversee things. I'm not going to interfere, because I know what you're going to do. You're great. But if you micromanage every single thing, ultimately, and you become big, ultimately you can't physically micromanage everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And so by then you've got a group of people who are so used to working so closely with you that they can't make decisions, or they can't do anything without your say-so or without your approval.
Yeah.
Things are going to go to shit. And I think that's what's happened. And the other thing is, Feige is so... Look, it's an ego thing as well.
Yeah.
He carried one of the biggest franchises for so long. And honestly, I think it was that whole thing of like, Marvel can't do anything wrong. We've got the fan base. We've got the money. We've got Disney backing us.
Yeah.
It's not going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But they underestimated the viewers.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you can make a fool of us for a little bit of time, but we're not idiots.
Yeah.
The reason why we fell in love with Marvel is because of the stories and the characters and the uniqueness of the stuff that we were watching.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they were all connected. They were not connected.
Yeah.
It's not about connection. It's not about going, oh, this show is going to be connected to this film, and this film is going to connect it to this show, and this character is going to be coming into this. Why do characters have to be successful off the back of another character that's well known?
Yeah.
It's the most frustrating thing. So they started off well. They introduced us to Tony Stark and Captain America and all of these characters without having a connection.
Yeah.
Brought them together in one film and then let them go again, and they had their own storylines.
Yeah.
You know, and even when people say, oh, Marvel's tone is always funny, ha ha, but when you watch like Cap movies, they're not funny.
No, Winter Soldier's not funny.
Like, you have sarcastic comments, but you're not funny ha ha.
Yeah.
You know, like there was another person who was like, the director's view of the film is not there anymore.
Is not there.
You know, like the first Thor, a lot of people shit on the first couple of Thors.
Yeah.
I think the first Thor is beautiful.
I love the first Thor.
It's a Kenneth Branagh film.
It's a Kenneth Branagh film.
When you think about it,
it is Shakespeare in the sky.
Kenneth Branagh directed Thor?
Yeah.
Like, really?
It is Shakespeare in space.
It really is. It is Shakespeare in space.
Yeah.
And he brought that gravitas to you. Can complain about it as much as you want.
Yeah.
Yes, there are bits in it that are not perfect and there are things that could be better.
Yeah.
But I would much rather take Kenneth Branagh over Taika Waititi's Love and Thunder.
God, I know.
You know, because Kenneth Branagh might not be a superhero film director.
Yeah.
But he knew how to treat those characters with gravitas.
Yeah. And that's saying something because honestly, Ragnarok had both of those things.
He
and
nailed
the fact
it with Ragnarok.
That was Taika. I was like, oh my God. We all loved it, right? And then we were like, what the hell happened with Love and Thunder? Like,
this is again a very Marvel thing going, oh, you know what? You did such a good job with that one.
Yeah. Do it again.
And replicate that.
Do it more funny.
And then, of course, I also blame Taika with this. It's like, he's got an ego as well.
Yeah.
I am definitely alienating a lot of these Marvel people if they were to ever hear this. It is what it is.
Yeah. I know. Like, I feel so. Again, it hurts to be saying this stuff. Like, we don't want to be talking about it like this. We love Marvel. We still love that first Infinity Saga. Nothing's going to take that away from us.
And that's the thing. It should never have been another saga. We shouldn't be going straight into another saga. We've just finished one.
Like I've been talking with friends, it should have been individual projects.
Absolutely.
Have some fun with it.
Absolutely.
Like just
introduce us to. Yes, you have introduced us to new characters. Great.
Yeah.
Give us the X-Men.
Yeah, but just let them be. Don't connect them. Don't do anything. Just let them be in their own universes.
Bring them together
down the line.
Someone else was saying, very interesting point is, we never used to get this outline of the projects to come for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what a phase was until recently when Endgame finished.
Yeah.
Because I literally, because people used to be like, oh, phase 1. I'm like, what is phase 1? Like, which movies are phase 1? I can't tell, right? I could never tell that.
I didn't know either.
I never ever used to say it out loud because I didn't want to sound dumb.
I sort of knew, but like,
you have a vague idea.
I didn't really care. I was like, it's all the same, really. But
I didn't even know what the phase 1, phase 2. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. The only time I really figured out was like, it's like, this. And then we started
with each Avengers movie.
Yeah, and then we started getting, the next few years looks like this. And I'm like, why are you telling us this?
Yeah.
Leave something to surprise.
Yeah, I don't want to know everything.
It's not about, like, I think they did it because they think it's building anticipation. But it's not building anticipation. It's kind of building dread.
I was just going to say.
If things were good, maybe it would have been anticipation. But things are not good.
No. So, especially now. Look, at the time we were naive when the whole big Hall H thing
happened
in 2019 with them announcing all the shows and all this stuff. We were like, oh, wow, this is like, it was shiny and new and like, oh my God, like Disney Plus was
we were still dealing with the trauma of Endgame. So we were like,
dealing with the trauma of Endgame. So we needed a bit of joy in our lives, right? That's kind of, they
used us.
They used us. They used our emotions is what they did. But now when they announce stuff, I'm just like, crickets.
Like,
I just
think, like, why should we have to connect something like Blade, for example?
Yeah, what's that about? Why does
Blade does not have to do with anything?
That movie is in production hell right now.
Oh,
it has gone through so many apparently changes to the script and everything. And it's like, if you don't hurry up and do something soon, you are going to lose Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, because he's not going to have enough patience.
Because you are disrespecting this Oscar-winning actor.
Well, that's the other thing, right? They've got this what's the word? This collection of amazing actors now.
Yeah.
Right? Who are joining the MCU.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're being put into subpar things.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think I was saying this to you earlier, like bringing in people who we do not know is such a great way to...
was amazing.
So Robert Downey Jr. came in as Iron Man.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger generation didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Because he had been not out of movies, but, you know, he had been going through his troubled times and
struggles,
you know, all of that stuff. He was huge in the 80s and the 90s, and then, you know, he fell off a little bit. And then this was like his big comeback.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
like,
a big deal.
It was a big deal. I knew who he was because I grew up with some of his movies. Like, my favorite movie was Only You. You know, but after that, sort of, we didn't really see him in a lot, right?
Yeah.
We heard him with his personal struggles.
Yeah.
And then he came and this was a huge film for him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You had Captain America with Chris Evans. Yes, he'd been around for a long time. He was in the Fantastic Four, but no one really knew who he was.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a big star.
No.
You know? Most of his films used to flop.
Yeah.
Who else? You've got... I'm sorry, Chris Hemsworth.
No one knew who he was. We knew who he was because of Home and Away.
Exactly.
But that was about it.
Nobody knew who he was. No one knew who Tom Hiddleston was. No. And they put them with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
The balance that was there.
Yeah.
You know? Like, even in the Cap films, you had Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones. You had Hugo Weaving.
Right? So you have like a balance of like newish, and you've got the balance of like these veterans.
Yeah.
Going in, and then you have Scarlett Johansson, again very well known, but not in this world. And
even Robert Downey Jr. We knew who he was, and like, you know, that stuff, but he was paired with people who were very popular at the time, like Gwyneth Paltrow and Jeff Bridges and like all those people. So again, a good standing to be on. Who else did we have? I think those are the three main ones. But really, if you think about it, the casting is also such a good thing to think about, because now we get, every time we're like, oh, new character, and this the super famous person comes on, you know, which is why the only really casting I'm really excited about is coming up is Brett Goldstein as Hercules. Yeah. Because
yes, he's well known to a lot of people who are big Ted Lasso fans. Yeah. But not everyone knows who he is, right?
Yes, even people like Iman Vellani and I'm forgetting the actress's name who plays Echo.
Yes.
Oh my God, what's her name?
Oh, geez.
Something Cox. Her last name is Cox too.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, I'm forgetting her name. Yeah. But yes, the actress who plays Echo as well, Iman Vellani, who plays
new people. You know, Ms. this Marvel. Is good.
This is a good thing. Like, you know, it gives you a bit of like, you can imagine these people as this character, you know,
like unexpectedness, you know. Okay, I would say like probably your, what's his name, Paul Rudd wasn't unknown. Everyone knows who he is. Yeah, but very unexpected. I remember when they announced him as everyone was like, what? I thought honestly it was a joke. I really thought it was a joke. Yeah, you know, because you know he's a comedian. Yeah. But anyway, like that's.
But then I feel opposite of Benedict Cumberbatch being Doctor Strange.
Anybody could have
been Doctor Strange.
I mean, I love him as Doctor Strange.
I love him, but honestly, anybody could have been Stephen Strange.
Yeah,
it didn't have to. It just happens to be Benedict Cumberbatch because he's so popular.
I just think like some of their casting, like I feel like Brie Larson. I'm not shitting on her. Honestly, I do really, really like her.
She's a good actress.
She's a very good actress. She's not a good she's not a good
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Like I liked her in the first, like in the movie, right? Yeah. But what made me like her is not when I was actually watching it. It was watching her in Endgame and then going back and rewatching it. Yeah. You know, in a very roundabout way.
Yeah, and then going back and watching
Captain Marvel. Then I was like, oh, I really appreciate her now. Yeah. But as I was watching it, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed her as well. But she just wasn't fitting in because she was too famous.
Yeah, I'm like, that's just Brie Larson.
I knew who she was. She was too famous. Yeah. You know? Like, you want people who are not that famous. Yeah. And so I feel like they need to bring in some fresh faces and some fresh people, which is why I'm like, John Krasinski, as much as I love him, he cannot be
Reed Richards.
And
given the recent news, the rumor apparently is that Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards.
Look, I would love that.
But
I'm also nervous about it.
You know how much I love Pedro Pascal. Yes. Have loved him for years, but too famous.
I feel he's all the
rage right now.
If he had been cast 5 years ago,
I still would have been like amazing. I would have been
perfect casting. But now I think he's too famous for a role like this.
Because what is he? He's the Mandalorian. He's Joel in The Last of Us.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
He's been in like dozens of movies. Like,
yeah,
no,
I don't think that's a good choice.
No.
So Marvel really needs to think about what they are doing.
Yeah,
because they're not, and they need to think about this by putting themselves in the shoes of the consumer, the Marvel fan.
Yeah.
Because, and they need to listen to us.
No one ever listens to us. This is the problem.
But
we have good ideas.
We have very good ideas. But they need to listen to the people who are on YouTube.
Yeah.
There are so many amazing creators who come up with some of the amazing arguments and talking points and great suggestions.
Yeah.
They need to listen to them. They need to listen to the average fan.
Yeah.
They really, really need to listen to what the Marvel consumer, because they're losing it. They lost James Gunn.
Yeah.
I am actually very excited about DC, but also very nervous because I feel like James Gunn is kind of channeling a Kevin Feige sort of thing. And I'm just like, I don't know. But I just feel like they need to really think about, they need to get out of the shadow of the Mouse House.
Yeah.
Which I know they can't.
Yeah.
But they need to try and regain their...
That being said, please no one from the Mouse House come after us.
I know, true.
Because Bob Iger's just out to get everybody, I swear. Even he's like, there's too many sequels. There's too many. Yeah, he was like, oh, Star Wars, there's too many sequels.
But
and like, he's like, and Marvel's not good anymore, and blah, blah, blah.
Did he say that? Well,
yeah,
it's because of you.
He said all this at the Billionaires Retreat.
Are you
remember?
kidding me?
Yeah, guys, that was, again, this was all the stuff that was
Billionaires
lost.
Retreat. Oh,
this was all the stuff lost from the other episode. There was a Billionaires Retreat where he went to the retreat in his private jet.
While we're all in a cost of living crisis.
We're all in a cost of living crisis. And he met up with Mark Zuckerberg and David Zaslav.
Nice.
And they all played golf together. Because apparently that's realistic.
I don't even want to think about that. Gross. But anyway, so this is the stuff that we've been like talking about, thinking about, watching. I think we should wrap up. Yeah. Because we do want to save some stuff for like when we talk about other things. We will be coming back to a more regular way of uploading and recording. We will probably take a bit of a break during New Year's time. Yeah. Just to have a bit of a rest and a holiday. But we will do a Christmas episode. Yeah. We're going to do a Christmas episode.
Whoop. And what are we going to be doing? What have you finally decided that you're ready for?
Watching Christmas movies.
Yeah. Watching Hallmark Christmas movies. And cheesy Christmas movies.
I've been suggesting them, yes.
Yeah, people who have been here with us long enough know that
I don't like them.
I love them, and one of our friends loves them, but Nam does not like cheesy Christmas movies.
But I think I'm gonna start watching them.
She's finally been saying that she wants to watch them. Yes. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal in my life right now.
So we will do a Christmas episode.
So we will do a Christmas episode.
Which we're gonna aim to upload before Christmas. But so we'll do a Christmas episode definitely, and then we're gonna plan out the rest of the year and see how things go.
So we'll do that during our break, and then hopefully we can come back fresh.
Yep.
Fresh. And be ready to entertain you all with our
2 cents.
Our 2 cents. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Anyway, so for those of you who have stuck by us, those of you who found us and have been listening, we apologize for the delay once again. But we are endeavoring to become as regular as possible. If you do manage to find us, please join us on our socials. We'd love to hear from you. Yes. Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on X.
No,
I love how
no one calls it X,
formerly known as Twitter.
No, it's still Twitter.
Whatever, Twitter.
It's not X.
We do have a TikTok account. We haven't posted much on it, but I will be posting stuff on there. But you can find us on TikTok as well. So please follow us, and we'd love to hear from you. Yeah. And in the meantime,
see you that. Oh God,
you always say this.
Can it happen? I'm sorry. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.